Men are sexual beings, and I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we make is we spend our entire lives trying to suffocate this part of ourselves. We treat our sexual desire like it's something we need to overcome. Like, once I'm disciplined enough, once I stop watching porn, once I'm spiritual enough, then I won't have to deal with this anymore. But that's not how this works. Like, we literally are sexual beings if we think about it for 2 seconds. None of us would even be here without sexuality. It's built into us. We develop towards it. We respond to it. We crave attraction. We crave intimacy, touch, and connection. The goal isn't to become less sexual. The goal is to become healthier in your sexuality. And I think as a man, there's a few massive areas that we need to eventually master. And the first is your relationship. The second is your work. And then the third is your sexual energy. And for me, sexual energy has probably been the hardest because if you think about it, work is pretty straightforward. Like, it's hard, but there's a formula to it. You work harder, you learn the skills, you build something, and it works. Relationships are complicated, but at least you have someone that's with you that you can communicate. I feel like sexuality is different. It's inside of you. It's not something that you can walk away from or unsubscribe from. It's permanently there. And a lot of people compare porn addiction to like a drug addiction, and there are some obvious similarities, but the huge difference that I think really matters is that you aren't born wanting cocaine, alcohol, or cigarettes, but you were born with sexuality. You don't need to learn sexual desires. It just is there. And that means recovery can't simply just be about eliminating the desire like you could with drugs or alcohol. Because what are you eliminating? That is part of our human experience. And this is where a lot of guys get stuck. They think if I could just stop being horny, if I could stop noticing women, if I could stop having urges, if I could just shut this entire thing off, then I would finally be free. But freedom isn't having no desire. Freedom is not being controlled by your desires. And a huge mistake that I made was I tried to dam everything up. You feel sexual desire, I shoved it down. You see an attractive woman, I shamed myself. I got an urge, I would panic. I would feel lust, I would fight it. And eventually the dam starts leaking, and you can't clamp down even harder. You can't have more filters, more promises, more rules, more shame, until eventually your dam is just going to break. And afterwards you say, see, my sexuality was the problem. But maybe the sexuality isn't the problem. Maybe it's your relationship that you've developed with it. And sexual energy is insanely powerful. And to make it more practical, entire industries are run off of it. Advertisers uses it. Social media uses it. Porn obviously uses it. People change their bodies for it. People cheat because of it. They destroy marriages because of it. Build entire identities around being desired. And the human existence literally depends on it. So of course it feels strong. But because something is powerful doesn't mean it is automatically bad. Fire can burn down your entire house, but it can also cook your food and keep you alive. So the question isn't how do I get rid of fire? The question is how do I use fire and not burn down my house? So here's another way to look at it. Imagine your sexuality as like a dog that lives inside of you. Not a bad dog, just a really energetic dog. And every time that dog gets excited, you beat it. A sexual thought, bad dog. Urge, bad dog. Porn slip, you're disgusting. Went too far with someone, what is wrong with you? Right? And then you shove it back into its cage and you repeat this process for 5, 10, 15 years. What type of dog do you think you're going to have? I mean, probably not a calm one. It becomes anxious, ravenous, aggressive. It starts trying to look for every opportunity to escape its cage. And then we say, see, the dog, it's a bad dog. And it's like, no, dude, you've trained the dog to be that way. And the thing that's hard about this analogy is that if it was a real dog, maybe you could just give it away or get rid of it. But you can't get rid of your sexuality. So what do? You retrain the dog slowly. You build trust. You stop treating every sexual feeling like an emergency. You stop freaking out every time you find someone attractive. You stop believing that one sexual thought means that you've failed. And over time, your relationship will change. Not overnight, but slowly. And that part of you will stop feeling like an enemy. So how do you actually practically do this? So the first thing is, I would stop adding more shame every time your sexuality shows up in a way that you don't like. This does not mean porn is harmless, cheating is okay, breaking your values doesn't matter. It just means beating the absolute shit out of yourself afterward probably isn't helping you become healthier. So you can say, I watched porn last night, and instead of, I'm pathetic, I'll never change, I'm disgusting, try, okay, what happened? Where was I? What was I feeling? What did I actually want in that moment? Was I horny? Was I lonely? Was I stressed, bored, trying to escape? And when you shift to that, then you start learning. And so think about this. Your future son comes up to you and he's absolutely terrified and he says, Dad, I just watched porn. How would you respond to him? Would you scream? Would you yell and call him disgusting? Would you ground him? Like, what would you do? And if you're a healthy father, you would probably say, hey, like, come here, come give me a hug. Let's talk about what happened. And not because you want him watching porn, but because you love him more than you love the behavior. And I feel like that's really the difference. So an important distinction here is self-love doesn't mean no standards. And self-love is actually being able to hold yourself accountable without hating yourself. You can say, that wasn't who I want to be. I don't want to keep doing that. I need to change something without saying, you piece of shit, I don't have standards, that's immaturity. And so bringing things to the light can really help with all of this. So my challenge to you is to stop making your sexuality in maybe a porn habit or just something that you feel really ashamed of, this secret war that only exists inside of your head, and talk to somebody. They don't need to police you. They don't need to be checking your browser history, but just someone that can love you for who you are and say, hey man, or someone that you can say to them, just like, hey man, I've been struggling. I slipped up last night. I'm feeling super tempted lately. I'm just feeling a lot of emotions. And a lot of guys don't need another accountability partner. They just need a friend. Someone who knows the dark, ugly parts of them. Someone who can see them and say, dude, I still love you. Someone that can say, yeah, dude, I get it. I'm sorry you're going through this. Because the opposite of addiction is connection. So you are a sexual being. That part of you isn't going anywhere. And I don't think it needs to, honestly. The goal isn't to kill your sexuality. It's to become less, it isn't to become less attracted to people. It isn't to become perfectly disciplined and a dude who never slips up again. The goal is to build such a healthy relationship with your sexuality, you don't have to fear it anymore. You can feel desire without immediately needing to act on it. You can mess up without destroying yourself. You can have standards without shame. And eventually sexuality stops feeling this wild animal that you're constantly trying to keep locked away. And it becomes a part of you that you know and that you can lead. So your sexuality doesn't need to be suffocated. It needs to be understood. And stop trying to kill that part of yourself and learn how to have an actual healthy relationship with it.